Gatsby here, and did you know one of my favorite pastimes is watching YouTube internet drama? YouTube at this point contains about as much information as the Library of Alexandria, except most of the information is about people who don't matter and it's always on fire. There isn't a single day that passes without some new happening occurring in a community you've never heard of, with each subset of new drama bringing a cast of lovable idiots that race up on stage to be the loudest, shouting into the ether to explain that they're the ones who have the right idea. For a lot of people, myself included, it's the modern day equivalent of Days of Our Lives. And due to recent events involving
Dude, you screaming and grandstanding doesn't mean you're right.
Iraqi government.
I figure that this would be a good opportunity to talk about some YouTube history to remind people that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. However, this time I don't need to start at the very beginning. Instead, let's start at the point where I feel a significant shift was made in the overall landscape of YouTube. Right.
I like the editing.
Prior to this moment, PewDiePie was a household name as the most well-known content creator on the platform, going from 2010 to 2020 with consistent daily uploads and an all-time peak of 112 million subscribers. This video on January 11th, 2017 is where we will start. Despite, or more accurately in spite of, the literal billions of views being brought to YouTube monthly, traditional media platforms pushed massive hate tirades against him, with the notorious Fiverr video being seen as the green flag for traditional media to take aim at a subject people under the age of 30 might actually click. And after the journos got a taste for the blood of influencers, they scoured through PewDiePie's massive online content library to find anything to talk about. 2 months later, in response to the backlash, the cancellation of the YouTube Red series, Scare PewDiePie Season 2, was announced. And then later that same year, he crossed a bridge of no discernible significance.
What a fucking...
The apocalypse was the result of a continued effort from legacy media taking shots at a direct competitor, because as Gen Z began becoming synonymously known as the cord-cutting generation, social media started to become the de facto means of content consumption for younger audiences. And in many ways, this is one of the earliest examples of targeting ad revenue on the platform, revealing to users the forbidden fruit of attacking sponsors to silence someone. Let's get right to 2020 and get
right into the news.
Specifically to talk about another household name, the YouTube critics turned podcasters H3H3. May 19th, 2020, Ethan Klein dropped Content Nuke, a 45-minute takedown criticizing everyone's favorite lawn ornament, Keemstar, where quite a few claims were made, describing Keem as a PDF that harassed and doxed other YouTubers, with the biggest claim being that Keem pushed Etika, a well-known Nintendo appreciator, during a time of high mental instability, leading to his eventual game over. But let's take a closer look right here.
But I find it really disturbing that Keemstar, the day after this murder happened, was able to get this kid on his show, fully monetized. Keemstar cashed in big time on this whole ordeal. And I also, if I recall correctly, the interview brought to you by the SWAT murder was also sponsored by G Fuel. Use code KEEM for 10% off of your life expectancy.
Needless to say, G Fuel dropped Keem shortly after, presumably as a result of backlash from this video, its claims valid or not. And it doesn't quite end right there though, with Old Spice, sponsor of the H3 podcast, following suit, dropping H3 likely as a result of the public dispute, which Keem responded to by putting out a call to non-action that people should not go after sponsors. Whether or not this was genuine is a choice you can decide on your own, but the important thing for this video is that it was a hit made from inside of the YouTube community, where PewDiePie was targeted by external media groups, forcing the hand of advertisers supporting a rapidly growing platform that found an audience and viewers lost from traditional news media. This was a show of content creators locking horns with the desire to go scorched earth, with the end result of shots being taken at each other's flow of revenue, leaving both communities walking away from the situation with the understanding that maybe going after sponsors was not what was best for the site in the long run. Anyway, let's just fast forward through the next few years, nothing too important to mention there. May 14th, 2022, Creator Clash. For the unemployed, links to my watch along for both the Content Cop and Content Deputy will be in the description of this video. For those with a life outside of this platform, the effective summary is this. Creator Clash was a content creator-led boxing event where a bunch of internet personalities come together to laugh at Ian Jones, to watch content creators from corners of the internet I wasn't even aware existed throw hands for charity! Unless you know this guy, in which case, fuck you. But also unless you're the head of advertising and the main event of the night, in which case, you get a pass. A wise philosopher once said, "Mo money, mo problems," and so after running a successful $1.3 million charity event and getting punched in the face, the following year, the Jomas decided to run a reverse charity and go $250,000 into the red for their following event, and still get punched in the face. In a desperate attempt to save face, $180,000 was raised after the event through Ian Joma's apology tour hosted on Twitch for tips. But with the bar being literally under the floorboards, the bright minds that brought you massive damage, in 2025 decided that instead of just advertising their fucking event, that they would reanimate the corpse of a previously successful video brand last seen in 2017, in a desperate attempt to get people to remember that they existed 2 months out from their big charity event. With a hit piece so tone-deaf, it was universally panned by anyone not already in the video or actively on the payroll of Twitch's favorite piece of office furniture. The resulting backlash led to 2 fighters leaving the event, refunds being offered per Florida state law, and rumors of the entire event being pushed off for a future date.
But Creator Clash is delayed. Creator Clash is delayed to a date far in the future. For me, this is a huge bummer, not only because I was bringing out a bunch of my family, but I was losing weight at a lightning clip.
Now, it's difficult to say how successful the event will actually be, but if I was a betting man, I would put it all on red because the ship is actively sinking. In 2017, PewDiePie showed what was at stake when sponsors were pressured off the site by bad faith traditional media sites. In 2020, H3V Keemstar showed us what would happen when sponsors were pressured by fellow content creators. And now in 2025, we're watching the real-time collapse of a content creator-led charity event. If the only thing at risk here was an event ending after the Jomas decided to abandon ship despite already striking the mother of all icebergs, then I wouldn't be making this video. But that's not enough, because now we have content creator-led lawsuits entering the scope of acceptable practices, with literal who's enjoying their 15 seconds of fame to make moves to crowdfund a legal offense for enough money to open the front door of a California court, resulting in a thinly veiled threat aggregating about $50,000, which was promptly refunded. Now, is this the first example of content creator on content creator legal action on the platform? Well, no, of course not. Lawsuits regularly enter the platform for numerous reasons. Just last month, we saw the conclusion of Carl Jobst versus Billy Mitchell, Video Game Player of the Century, where the majority of viewers were led to believe that Australian courtrooms were trying to determine if Billy Mitchell, Video Game Player of the Millennium, cheated at Donkey Kong, with the result artistically depicted here on Ricky's limited edition hot sauce label. Even with characters previously mentioned here, H3H3 versus Matt Haas in 2016 was a notable legal win for fair use laws that regularly get ignored on the platform anyway. At this point, I think it's fair to say that the lid to Pandora's box has been thrown completely out of the window. The looming threat of hyper-litigious jackasses thirsting at the opportunity to wield their audiences like a sword in the coliseum of social media has irreversibly changed the landscape of the internet. As the stage continues to grow, so does the money, and the more money we come across, the more problems we see. Social media has almost entirely eclipsed the traditional media of yesteryear, with sites like Twitch experiencing an average of about 120 million users per month, and YouTube approximately 2.7 billion per month. So as users eagerly hitch their wagons to the next big thing regardless of personal cost, it's never been more important to consider the long-term effects things like frivolous lawsuits could have on the platform going forward. I guess what I'm saying is, it's been almost a decade and we've learned nothing. So if you'll excuse me, I need to find a slightly larger content creator to start a shouting match with.